There is a moment when the body of man, when entering the frequency of retention, is no longer only flesh and bones. It turns into a living radar, sensitive to everything that once went unnoticed. Environments that were once common, parties, offices, even some homes, now carry a sense of almost intolerable discomfort. It is not drama, it is vibrational discernment. That bar where you felt comfortable now seems heavy, as if something there repelled you. The body began to identify what is dense, false, and unnecessary, and reject. Have you ever felt that there is something dormant within you? A force that has never been fully accessed, an energy that the world tried to shut up with distractions, addictions, and lies. I am Laert, and this is Gods of Semen, the channel that will not treat you as fragile, but as someone who was born with a forgotten purpose. After years of studying in the studies and in the practice of seminal retention, I discovered something that society doesn't want you to know. You are not tired for nothing. Anxiety, lack of direction, the difficulty of getting out of bed, the feeling of being lost, all has root in the way you deal with your most powerful energy. When you learn to contain, transmute, and raise this energy, something changes. The mind brightens, the body responds, the soul awakens. Here you will understand how retention is not just abstinence, it is a spiritual code, a psychological reset, a deep physical transformation. And if you are ready to get out of the sleeping dough and discover the true male potential, you are in the right place. Stay with me until the end of this video, because today I will reveal truths that have never told you, and that can radically change your way of living and feeling the world. Subscribe now to the channel, activates the bell of notifications, and helps us hit the goal of 25,000 subscribers. This is more than a channel, it is a movement, and you are called to be part of it. The presence of certain people, even dear, begins to generate physical and mental discomfort. Their mask becomes visible to your eyes. It is not judgment, it is incompatibility. His vibration, cleaner, more accurate, no longer tolerates the disguised presence of dubious intentions. Those who live in lies, vanity, ego, begin to look noisy, even in silence. Your body recognizes this even before the mind rationalizes. It is a subtle defense, as if the soul itself protected you. You also become unable to consume what you once thought normal. Industrialized foods, dumb drinks, old addictions, all this begins to get sick. Fast food, artificial sounds, excess screen, they have a taste and smell of poison. But no one taught you that. You didn't read in any book. It is the body recalibrating its natural frequency. He wants to breathe lightness, wants silence, wants purity, and let you know through revulsion. Over time, the body becomes a living filter, which is not simply not entering. Whether it's food, sound, presence, or word, the density is blocked. It is as if there is an invisible border between you and the one that vibrates low. And the most interesting, you don't have to explain it to anyone. Your field already does the work. What is not in harmony with its new frequency simply cannot remain. The world didn't tell you about it. It is not in the viral videos, the self-help books, the gyms of the mind. This is only revealed to those who hold, to whom shuts up, to whom sacrifices the desire for something greater. Retention is not just a domain practice, it is a secret code that active forgotten wisdom. And one of them is this: the body knows, he feels, he chooses, and when guided by the right vibration, it protects you even before you understand why. There is a force that cannot be explained in words, a presence that does not depend on appearance, status, or performance. When a man practices enough time retention, something changes in his field and is not visible to the ordinary eyes. It enters a place and, subtly, the environment silences. Not because he said, but because he arrived. Women watch him with a mixture of doubt and fascination. It is as if they recognized something, but they could not name. Your looks last longer than usual, but they carry more questions than desires. Enchantment is not for the physical, it is for vibration. At the same time, the surrounding men feel something. Some move away without realizing it, as if their presence destabilized them. Others, with more awareness, look at him with respect, even without understanding why. It's not fear. It is an archaic, primitive recognition that there is someone who carries a silent brute force, someone who doesn't have to prove because they have become. Retention places man in a state of magnetic neutrality. He is not competed. He does not display, but he occupies. And it's not just humans who perceive. Children approach curiously, as if they felt security in their energy. Animals approach or follow you naturally. They do not judge their appearance or curriculum. They feel often. And the frequency of those who retain is different. It is firm, but smooth. Strong, but quiet. It's like the sound of distant thunder. It doesn't scare, but warns. This presence changes the field around. It is as if the air adensed slightly. People reorganize without knowing why. The energy of the retaining man becomes a center of gravity. He attracts without asking. It influences without playing. Its vibration shapes space as a stone changes the course of a river. This is the difference between those who emanate and who just speak, between who is and who pretends. And the most impressive, none of this is learned. There is no formula, course, or technique that teaches this magnetism. He is born in silence. It grows in the discipline, strengthens itself in the absence of excesses. The man who retains does not seduce, he impacts. Don't scream, he vibrates. And this vibration is the language that everyone feels, even without understanding. Because when you shut up the world, the universe within you begins to speak. And everyone listens. As man deepens in the practice of retention, something begins to happen within it. It is not just accumulated energy, nor just desire controlled. It is a new form of listening. Suddenly, there is a subtle guidance that does not come from the logical mind, but from the rising body, as if the flesh itself began to carry spiritual codes. You start to feel what to do, where to go, what to avoid, without having to think. Intuition becomes command. The body is no longer a receiver and becomes a compass. And with that, banal tasks begin to become intolerable. What was once routine now seems punishment. You can no longer pretend normality. The soul calls you another direction, and every minute wasted in meaningless tasks weighs as if betraying its own mission. Time becomes a sacred resource. Every second far from the truth becomes vibrational discomfort. And this silent pain is actually the voice of purpose pushing you. The desire to speak disappears. The noise of the world begins to look small. You no longer want to argue, convince. Because now your presence communicates. You enter an environment and, without opening your mouth, already said everything. Who needs to understand, understands. Those who do not understand, move away. And that is enough. Silence becomes its main language, not as absence of sound, but as an absolute presence of oneself. This silence also becomes your protection. It avoids traps. He cuts unnecessary invitations. He keeps away what does not belong. When you shut up, the universe is responsible for answering for you. Silence is its invisible sword, sharp by discipline and abstinence. And contrary to what the world believes, it is in silence that true warriors are forged. Finally, this energy authority that begins to emanate from you is not a choice. She is not rehearsed or imposed. She reveals herself alone, as an invisible halo, as a silent command that crosses rooms, relationships, and decisions. Retention gives you only energy. It gives you back the sovereignty of silence. And in that silence, the voice of something much bigger begins to command. When man enters deep into the path of retention, he not only rises, he becomes visible. And in the spirit world, visibility is called. The highest vibration lights a light that attracts not only blessings, but also disguised trials. People from the past begin to reappear out of nowhere, as if pulled by an invisible thread. They are friends, former partner, figures that seemed resolved, but now they come back carrying the same pattern as before. This is no coincidence. It is vibrational test. The universe notes, he climbed. But does he stay there when the old doors open again? And among these evidence, one of the most intense comes through desire. Women with dense energy, with sexual vibrations appear, suddenly, in dreams, messages, in the streets. They are not to blame, but they are instruments. Your looks, your words, your invitations carry codes that activate what has not yet been solved within you. And if there is no firmness, the man breaks. But you resist, go up. With each no said with a firm heart, an invisible staircase appears. Each true renunciation becomes a clearer view, a more stable force. The world begins to test you, not by the words, but by the gestures. Do you say it retains? Then life will bring situations that challenge it directly. Easy invitations, short paths, pleasant shortcuts. But the path of retention is narrow and only crosses those who do not give in to comfort. These provocations are not punishment, they are doors. And each time you close them by consciousness, the field around you is strengthened. His vibration rises, and with it, his authority. Alchemy of the Gods is the new book that reveals the secrets of Kundalini, crystalline oil, and spiritual liberation, offering practical tools for those seeking inner transformation, mental clarity, and alignment with the true purpose of the soul. Available in physical, digital, and audiobook format, the book adapts to your routine and deepens your spiritual awakening anywhere. Visit now by the link in the description or in the fixed comment and start your journey. But first of all, I have a novelty that you didn't expect. Audiobook Semen Retention Success Path brings more than 2 hours of deep content over the 6 pillars of seminal retention, unlocking your life energy, restoring focus, and accelerating your personal growth. By purchasing audiobook today, you get 30% off the ebook, The Art of Semen Retention for Men, with 20 pages of advanced techniques for spiritual evolution, emotional balance, and expansion of consciousness. Also become a channel member for early access to exclusive content, priority responses, and other advantages, helping to keep this male transformation movement alive. Little by little, you realize that you are in a subtle war. Not a blood war, but vibration. A battle between what calls you down and what pulls you up. And in this field, each victory is invisible, but it transforms everything. You start to see more clearly, feel more accurately, decide more firmly. Retention turns you into a warrior of inner layers, and each expired trial puts you on a new level. This is the field where few enter. It is the place of silent resistance, the spirit of the spirit, where the enemy has no face but appears in the form of desire, distraction, and past, disguised as a gift. Who wins there, wins out. Because when man remains firm inside, the world outside has no power over him. Over the days, weeks, and months in retention, the man's body begins to change invisibly. It is not just physical strength or mental clarity. It is a presence that grows within it and overflows with all its gestures, looks, and silences. His gaze is no longer the same. Now he crosses. It doesn't just look at people's bodies, but see through masks, characters, hidden intentions. It is as if the eyes became mirrors for the soul of others. And many can't stand this reflection. The touch also changes. A simple handshake, a hug, even the next present starts to carry something different. People don't know how to explain, but they feel. Some get closer, others move away, not knowing why. It is as if the body is carrying a frequency that is not of this world. He vibrates with another language, and this language is not heard, feels. Dreams begin to become symbolic, rich, enigmatic. Symbols appear, visions repeat themselves, archetypes manifest themselves. You dream of temples, spirals, lions, rivers, swords, women dressed in light, old cities. Nothing is random. Everything is being downloaded, as if a higher intelligence were using their sleep periods to reveal maps, codes, directions. You wake up with sensations that you can't translate, but that change you inside. So something even deeper happens. The body is no longer just a shelter of the soul. It becomes a channel, a bridge between two worlds. You begin to realize that you are no longer just living, you are being guided, moved by something bigger. Their steps align with events that look like miracles. You speak less and do more. You stop searching and start to be sought. The mission finds the messenger. This is the most hidden secret of retention. It's not in the books, nor in viral videos. It is revealed only to those who remain, whom it silences, whom refuses immediate pleasure in exchange for eternal purpose. This benefit is neither physical nor mental. It is spiritual. When man becomes a channel, he is no longer human. He becomes a bridge. And by this bridge, the sky begins to walk on the earth. There is an intelligence in the silence of retention that goes beyond human understanding. When man remains firm in his vote, he not only changes the present, he begins to rewrite the past. Poorly resolved situations that seemed open and painful, they begin to close alone without effort. People who wounded you one day appear out of nowhere, asking for forgiveness, to repair something, or simply add out from your way, as if the vibration itself kicked out what no longer belongs to you. It's not magic, it's vibrational cleaning. The pain that pursued you for years loses its effect. Memories continue, but they no longer tear you inside. It is as if the poison had evaporated, leaving only memory without suffering. You no longer need to relive that, because your field has absorbed learning. The energy that once fed the trauma is now anchored in purpose, and it is this energy displacement that closes the cycles. What holds you back begins to dissolve. Retention organizes the body, yes, but it also reorganizes the time, literally. Its vibrational line realizes with higher versions of oneself, and with that, the past, the present, and the future come to talk. It is as if the puzzle pieces began to move alone, revealing a drawing that once looked like chaos. What was pain becomes a portal. What was confusion becomes an answer. The marks become maps. And when this reorganization reaches the right point, you understand the why of everything. The abandonment, the fall, the error, the loneliness, the humiliation. Nothing was in vain. Everything was part of a larger legacy. The pain becomes step. Suffering becomes a seed. You look back and you no longer see tragedy, see construction, because now you understand that it was being forged, not punished. And that's where the past, finally, loses the power to arrest you. Because he started to serve you, as foundation, as a testimony, like gold hidden in the cave where one day you cried. The practice of retention goes beyond the discipline of the body. It purifies the soul. And over time, any internal inconsistency begins to hurt like an exposed wound. You can't pretend anymore. The slightest falsehood, the slightest deviation between what you say and what you live begins to cause a physical discomfort. It is as if your vibrational field rejected any and all lie, even those you used to tell yourself to survive. Retention requires truth, not as ideal, but as a need. You will not tolerate certain types of humor. Jokes that mock the sacred, content that trivialize the body, hollow conversations and full of masks, all of which begins to cause you vibrational nausea. What was once normal now seems profane. You don't think you're better than anyone, but you just can't participate anymore. Your soul requires food, and what was once entertainment now seems poison. Social noise no longer finds space in you. The social mask, which for so long protected you, begins to crack. The character you played to fit no longer convinces, neither to others nor to you. and discomfort arises by living roles that no longer reflect their essence. The soul wants to leave. The royal man begins to move inside, demanding space. And if you resist, suffering grows. Because retention is a process of unmasking. It does not allow the soul to be chained for convenience. This requirement of truth has nothing to do with moralism or religion. It arises from the need for spiritual survival. You realize that lying, whether to the world, to others, or to yourself, is to get away from your axis. And every departure is expensive, because your energy is now tuned. Any distortion becomes noise. Any falsehood delays the flow. Living in truth becomes not a choice, but the only possible way to continue growing. The lie becomes poison, a vibrational poison that your body no longer tolerates. And the truth, as hard as it may be, becomes relief, cure, alignment. You realize that the real you are, the lighter your walk becomes. And this lightness does not come from the absence of pain, but from the absence of disguise. Because now you no longer have to support characters. You just need to support your truth. And this is the most powerful liberation of all. In ordinary life, the days pass like smudges. A blink of an eye, and it's already night. A week disappears without you noticing. But when you enter the state of retention, something happens with the perception of time. It slows down. A single day begins to look like a week. Each moment carries a weight, a density, a depth that you did not realize before. It's not that time has changed. It is you who changed frequency. You started to inhabit the now with full presence. The boredom disappears. The silence, which was once empty, is now fertile. You begin to notice layers in breaks, nuances within gestures, life within immobility. What was waiting becomes meditation. What was idle time becomes the laboratory of the soul. You begin to be fed by things you once ignored. The wind on your face, the sound of your own breath, the vibration of a calm environment. Your attention changes, and with it, it changes its reality experience. The distractions lose the appeal. What consumed hours of your life, social networks, short videos, useless conversations, begins to look small, colorless, without substance. You no longer need to get busy to get away from yourself. On the contrary, the time you get when you do not disperse begin to be channeled with almost surgical accuracy. You choose what you see, what you say, what you hear, as if you know that every second is a spiritual seed. You also realize that time is sensitive to your vibrational state. In times of alignment, everything flows fast. Opportunities, meetings, answers. In states of deviation, everything crashes, freezes, drags on. External time begins to respond to its internal time. You realize that you are not a victim of the clock. It is co-creator of the temporal reality itself. This is an invisible key that few receive. And this change of perception becomes the greatest proof that retention alters the structure of its existence. Because those who change time changes everything. You get out of automatic mode. You go back to now. And in now, there is God. There is purpose. There is power. The man who feels time differently is no longer running after his life. He is walking with her, step by step, as he already understood that every moment, when inhabited with presence, carries eternity. How many times have you felt that you are wasting your strength in cycles that only weaken you? What something inside you calls for change, but the world insists on keeping you asleep? If you feel that your energy is being drained, that your mind lives in noise, and that your soul is forgotten, perhaps what is missing is not motivation, but reconnection. The transformation you seek begins when you decide to stop running away from yourself. So if this video made sense to you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and watch the next recommended video. Your awakening process is still starting.